The Nile River was super duper important to ancient Egyptians, and it's mentioned plenty of times throughout the Hebrew scriptures, such as featuring prominently inside of Pharaoh's dream or throughout the 10 plagues. Another place that it's mentioned, but you might not realize, is in the story of Joseph and Potiphar's wife. The Torah tells us that on a certain day, Joseph came to Potiphar's house to do his work, and the house was empty. Where was everybody? And why did the Torah tell us that it was a certain day? You see, every year there was a monumental event that took place. There was a festival of the overflowing of the Nile River, and they would worship the river with song and dance and all sorts of festivities. So it was on that day, that special day, that certain day, that Potiphar's wife decided to stay home and seduce Joseph. Now let's talk about this festival. It's called Wafa el Nil, if I'm saying that correctly, and people still go down to the Nile River and they thank the Nile River. Why? Because Egypt is a place in which there's not a lot of rain to be had. So people used to believe that it's the Nile River that gives them their sustenance, because without the water that comes from the Nile, they wouldn't have crops. So the ancient Egyptians actually worshiped the Nile as a god. They had temples devoted to its worship, but inside of these temples there was something called a Nilometer. I don't think that was the ancient name, but that's what we call it nowadays. And this Nilometer would measure the water so that the priests would be able to tell the masses, the Nile is going to behave this way, the god is going to act this way, thereby lending credibility to them and their occultic arts. The Nile River was everything to the ancient Egyptians. It was literally their god. And that's why when the God of Israel smote the Egyptians with the 10 plagues, the very first thing he did was smite the Nile River, the biggest god in the land of Egypt, so that the people would realize their God had no power. God never wanted to destroy the Egyptians. He wanted to destroy the illusions, the fakeness, the false religions. Once their faith became shaky, they could stop and reevaluate everything. They could realize that their entire life had been built upon nothingness. They could repent and they could return to the creator of the world, the creator who never embodied anything, be it a river or a human being, the creator who knows no form and was neither born nor created.